A parade of the LGBTQ community raised slogans like Hindutva se Azadi in India very recently.
आजादी मनुवाद से आजादी ब्राह्मणवाद से आजादी हिंदुत्व से आजादी हिंदुत्व से आजादी.
It is very interesting how the left extremists or the wokes have such hatred for Hinduism while aligning themselves with the communists and Islamists. Let us understand this madness a little better. We'll first start with the communists. In the 1930s, Joseph Stalin's regime recriminalized male homosexuality and imprisoned thousands of gays under the new law. Russia did not decriminalize homosexuality until 1993. In 1980, Communist Poland had done a massive crackdown on gays. It was called Operation Hyacinth. In ancient China, although gays were accepted normally, but during the Communist Cultural Revolution of 1966 to 1976, homosexuals were regarded as disgraceful, undesirable, and were heavily persecuted. What about the Muslim nations? When examining the issue of Islamic homophobia within the Muslim nations, we see a data which is extremely alarming. A comprehensive study conducted by Pew in 2013 titled Muslim Attitudes revealed a nearly unanimous condemnation of homosexuality within the Muslim communities across the globe. Among the countries surveyed, it was found that Uganda had the highest acceptance rate of homosexuality amongst its Muslim population, with 12% expressing some level of acceptance. Mozambique followed closely behind with 11% and Bangladesh with 10%. However, the remaining 37 countries, all of which have Muslim majority populations, reported acceptance levels of less than 10%. This study sheds light on the widespread disapproval of homosexuality within the Islamic societies, highlighting the significant challenges faced by LGBTQ individuals in these communities. So after the communists and the Islamists, let's look at the origins of the legal setup with respect to homosexuality within India. In 1861, the British Empire introduced Section 377 in the Indian Penal Code, which criminalized the same-sex activity as carnal against the order of nature. This legislation aimed to suppress any behavior that strayed from the heterosexual norms, aligning with the Victorian moral values that were prevalent at that time. So Section 377 was actually promulgated by the Christian British rulers in 1861. This law was modeled on the Buggery Act of 1533 passed by Henry VIII, which was itself based on the Christian ecclesiastical court rulings. It is important to understand the historical context in which the Section 377 was enacted, as it reflects the influence of Christian values and beliefs during that time. In 1871, the British authorities went as far as labeling the entire Hijra or the transgender population as a criminal tribe, creating a stigma against them. Also remember that the Goa Inquisition once prosecuted the capital crime of sodomy in Portuguese India. The decriminalization movement against Section 377 was finally made possible because of the 2009 Government of NCT of Delhi case, the Nas Foundation case led by Anand Grover, and a 9-judge bench that declared the right to privacy fundamental in 2017. And while having a long way to go, the LGBTQ people within India have more protections than in any other Asian countries. Let us also understand how the dharmic spiritual tradition within Hinduism looked at this. Shri Shri Ravi Shankar explains it very beautifully. He says homosexuality has never been considered a crime in the Hindu culture. In fact, Lord Ayappa was born of Hari Hara, Vishnu and Shiva. It is not a crime in any smriti. Everyone has a male and female elements. According to their dominance, tendencies show up and may change. Nobody should face discrimination because of their sexual preferences. To be branded a criminal for this is absurd. The Narada Smriti, for example, and the Sushruta Samhita are both important Sanskrit texts that provide insights into various aspects of life. While the Narada Smriti focuses on the concept of dharma, Sushruta Samhita delves into the field of medicine. In these texts, homosexuality is discussed, and interestingly, both texts acknowledge that homosexuality is an inherent trait and cannot be changed. You see, it is not a disease, as many in West really think. It is a way one is from birth. The Narada Smriti goes into the detail by listing 14 different types of pandas, which are men who are not aroused by women. Among these types, the text specifically mentions the Mukhya Bhaga, which refers to men who engage in oral sex with other men. Additionally, the text mentions Sevyaka, who are men that are sexually enjoyed by other men, as well as Irshyaka, who derive pleasure from voyeuristically watching other men engage in sexual activities. It is worth noting that Kama Sutra, another Sanskrit text, also contains information on various aspects of human sexual behavior. In that text, the term Tritya Prakriti is used to define men with homosexual desires. The Kama Sutra provides a detailed exploration of their practices, shedding light on the diversity of human sexuality. The Kama Sutra also provides detailed descriptions of various sexual orientations and identities. It acknowledges the existence of lesbians who are referred to as Swarini and engage in passionate relationships with other women. The text also mentions bisexual individuals known as Kami or Paksha who are attracted to both men and women. Moreover, Kama Sutra recognizes and discusses transgender and intersex people. These Sanskrit texts offer valuable insights into the historical understanding and perception of homosexuality, showcasing the complex and nuanced view that existed in ancient Indian times. There are other stories of sex changes as well, such as Shikhandi, a sort of transgender male who was a son of Drupad, born as a girl but later changed into a male by the blessings of a Gandharv. But after he became male, he acted as a male and not as a mixed personality. Another story is the story of King Sudyumna, who turned into a female because he entered into a territory where every male would turn into a female by the power of Shiva. Later, when requested by his guru, Shiva gave him the facility to be consecutively a male 1 month and a female the next. Even in this condition, he acted his or her role, his or her gender. In fact, while female, she became pregnant by Budh, the son of Moon, and that is how the Moon dynasty of the Kshatriyas came into existence on the earth. In no place was homosexuality or LGBTQ community ever subject to any punishment, either in smritis and shrutis or in social laws. It was a phenomenon to understand the varying behavior, but not something which was considered out of ordinary. Jiddu Krishnamurti was once asked about homosexuality, and his response is completely in line with the dharmic view. He said, "This has been a question for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It isn't something new. How would you? We are not taking sides in this matter. We don't condemn it or approve it or disapprove it. These are facts, right? as heterosexuality is a fact. Heterosexuality exists in the world, in different parts of the world, very common. Other parts of the world, it is practically unknown. So how do you really answer this question? What is the question? Why do we make it into such an enormous problem? Apparently, we don't make heterosexuality a problem at all, but we make this into a problem. Why? It is a fact. So should we inquire into this question, into heterosexuality and homosexuality differently? Not condemn one or the other, or approve one and deny the other, but inquire why sexuality, both, has become so colossally important, right? Why? This response from Jiddu Krishnamurti is extremely enlightening. You see, it is not about homosexuality or heterosexuality. It is about what a person is. Is one only defined by his or her sexuality, or is there more to one person's being? That should be the question. See, in this world full of killers, genocidal forces, murderers, abusers, rapists, and haters, isn't an act of love something to celebrate? Who you love is not important. The question that one needs to understand is, why is the LGBTQ community clearly so hateful of its own well-being and security? They have no qualms in aligning with the forces that openly and clearly call for their destruction and bat for crimes against them, while abusing communities that have always understood them and accepted them as normal. Yes, social norms need to change in India because thousands of years of slavery at the hands of hateful forces has seeped into the fabric socially. And that needs to be tackled legally as well as with proper social messaging. But to align with the very forces that created that social situation in the first place is nothing short of suicidal.